All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode. And I am joined with Dr. Uche Odiatu. Uche, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, pleasure always. Love sharing. This is my wheelhouse, helping people, supporting people, chair side, online or in person.
Yeah, so Uche and I were chatting. We met a couple months ago, and I could listen to you chat all day. Love your energy. I love your advice. And last we chatted, you got into dentistry. You were at the gym crushing some weights, and a dental student, came up to you and said, "Hey, you should think about dentistry." And that's how you got into dentistry, right?
Yeah, it's kind of serendipity. I had no intention. I might have been in the dental chair 4 or 5 times, getting maybe a primary tooth worked on, some adult anteriors. Hadn't even thought about it. Other than the fact that I love psychology. I was getting a major in psych and a minor in chemistry. So I was doing a 4-year bachelor's degree in psychology. So human nature is one of my sweet spots. I love the mystique of engaging and personality traits. I love the history. I love anthropology. And that whole idea about the artistic side intrigued me because I was also very, very good manipulating. My dad is a carpenter, so I felt very confident working with my hands. So that being said, that's what got me into it. And I always said, someone said, ride a horse in the direction it's going. I see people at 18, 20, 25 struggling with where they should be, but ride a horse in the direction it's going. So if you get an opportunity, say yes, and then take that opportunity further, and then say yes to another one and another one. And that's probably one of the best ways to not question, why am I doing what I'm doing? Like I emceed bodybuilding and fitness competitions all day, at least 3 times a year from in the 90s and early 2000s. And every now and then I thought, I kept thinking to myself, where's this leading me? Not why am I doing this? And then here I am. This comes in handy now, speaking all day in front of people without notes, speaking from the heart. And I realized when you're emceeing bodybuilding contests that it's more about showcasing and highlighting the athlete, not me. And anytime I edify the athlete, or hey, who here is from Toronto, Canada? Anyone here from Vancouver? I heard he has his uncle here from Red Deer, Alberta. And the audience stands up. So I got good at edifying and championing others. And then when you edify and champion others, they come back and give it back to you. But anytime you say, I am the smartest guy I know, what happens is no one wants to give you that accolade. So the minute I champion others, people like to be championed, and then it comes back to me indirectly somehow. So yeah, so ride the horse in the direction it's going was something that definitely lowers the stress. And even when I'm cutting a crown, second upper molar on a gagger, the cheek is, my assistant is like wrestling with a boa constrictor of the cheek. I'm trying to wrestling with the tongue. Patient's gagging. Yeah, she's got post-nasal drip. So I'm working halfway up. I'm thinking, wow, I'm working every ounce of my body at this crown prep. I'm building emotional muscle, and that's my perception of doing difficult things. Like, not why am I doing this? I'm building emotional muscle, working with this patient seated, doing a second upper molar crown on a gagger whose cheek is tucked against that buccal. So yeah, so instead of questioning why, I'm thinking, where's this leading me? And that's a nice way to lower the cortisol.
And now you're a dentist. You're really into fitness and mind and body and health. What's your driving force? How did you get involved with what you do and how you help other dentists?
Uh, um, I'd say I like Albert Schweitzer, famous anthropologist, and talked about the best teacher is basically role modeling. And I think instead of me telling people what to do, I think if someone spent some time with me or hung out with me or worked out with me or watched me eat lunch or ate dinner with me, you'll see why I look and feel this way, or you'll see how this whole thing happens. But otherwise, I do some personal coaching. I put so much passion in though. One-on-one is almost too intense. It's like an explosion going off. I love group training. I love, study clubs. I like immersive all-day events. I like that 6 hour, but a lot can be done in half day though. Seattle Study Clubs does a lot of 4 hour, like 8 to 12 with a working lunch, a working break. I think the adult attention span is definitely compressed, but I think a good storyteller though can definitely get people going. So an hour all day. I like group. I like the synergy of a group learning together. I like when I see a bunch of ahas coming up. One-on-one, I'm a bit too intense for one-on-one. It's like it's like a champagne cork. I think people need like a divided dose of Uche, I think.
And now, what do you think is causing the most stress for the young dentists or dentists out there today? And what would your advice be to them?
Stress. I know, worried about the future. I know you talk about in psychology, they said if you're not present, you're not doing well. Either they're worried about the student debt that they just incurred, the $500,000, or they're concerned about the future. Should I practice with a DSO or open up my own practice? So anytime someone's not present, you're using resources on wasteful things, the past or the future. And anytime you waste time and energy on future worries or past things that have happened, it's crazy because I think Brian Tracy, a time management coach, said that the past already happened. So you can't act on the past. The future hasn't happened yet. So to use resources on something that hasn't happened, and he broke down future worries in terms of what can you really do about them. He said many future worries are like totally thought fireworks. Like he said, 80% of them will never happen. And they said, really, only about 3% of future worries are worth even thinking about. Because if you're acting on it now, why worry about it? Like, if I have something in my hand, why am I worrying about holding it? So he said, very few future worries are reasonable things to take up your mental space. So if I can take away my mental chi or energy from useless worrying about the future and take action on the 2%, why worry? And now I can put all my energy into this conversation. I can put all my energy into this 8-year-old who I'm doing a lower molar resin. Or I can put all my energy into a conversation with a hygienist or an assistant instead of like my mind's welling around on my lease that's coming up on my car, or, ooh, I haven't talked to my brother in a long time. That's one way not to enjoy life. And I see that the hallmark of that is someone saying life flew by, or anytime a patient says to me, they'll talk about, oh, your oldest daughter is 17. Wow, that went by quick. I said, no, it didn't. I said, the more I spend time with my daughter in the moment, 17 years was a long time. That's a long time. I never let someone else say time flies by. I only say time flies if I'm not present. It only flies by if I'm not present. So that's one way to add texture, I find, to life. And I think anytime you're adding texture, there's no stress. So that new dentist, there's never been more potential in your life than graduating from dental school. So instead of saying, oh my God, what am I going to do? Celebrate raw potential. That's why babies are such a nice thing to hold and touch. Like when you see a baby in a stroller, everyone wants to reach out because a baby's pure potential. You don't go, oh my God, how's she going to raise them? What's this kid going to be? And so most parents realize, I look at my child for hours into these eyes and gaze. So instead of being a new grad, worrying about the future and worrying about this new baby, just think, oh my God, you'll never have this much pure potential to earn 3, 4, 5, 6 million over 30 years. That's an incredible opportunity. And that's one way that new dentists can lower their stress, shifting how they look at it as pure potential. Pure potential.
I've spoken with a few young dentists in the past couple weeks, and they were worried. They're already burnt out. They've been out for a year or two. They're worried about the debt. They regret being a dentist.
Oh, wow.
They're getting the pressure to produce from their bosses. The staff isn't nice to them. They're um, stressed about their crown preps. And my advice was, okay, let's focus on the things that we can control right now. Number one, okay, let's crush that crown prep. Let's figure out how to do this crown prep better so you're less stressed. And number two, let's have a communication with the owner of the practice to let them know what's going on.
Mm.
For someone that's in that situation, what would your advice be?
Yeah, no, I like that advice. And tell me, how does your 10th crown look as good as my 5,000th crown? Hey, that 10th crown looks pretty bad next to a 5,000th crown. So realize it takes a while to become a master. They're not going to do it in 6 months. They get aggressive doing full mouth rehab. Something's going to bite them back in the butt because all it's going to be is an investigation to find out how you've been out of school 12 months and you did 28 crowns. So take your time, enjoy the process. It's enjoyable being a protege. I think all associates too, the principal wants a good producing associate. So why not have a conversation? You're adults. Like there's no student master relationship. I don't care if you're an associate as an owner. You are equal humans. You are both doctors. Get good at communicating your desires and say, I'd like you to empower me. I don't like when you say, oh, this is my associate. This is a dentist I work with. Like when these principal dentists go, this is my associate, that's ego talking. That's an ego-bound dentist who's having his or her own struggles. This is a dentist, this is Dr. Uche Odiatu. Oh, this is one of my associates. Oh my God, ego, which is fragile, which is low on the roster of enlightenment. This is Uche is another dentist in her office. Perfect. Uche's my associate. Like it's, I don't know. So they should have that conversation. And I feel empowered, I'll do better. If a principal disempowers me, I'm going to always catch tongues with my burr. I'll always have my provisionals fly out of my hand into the plants, and I'm looking for the provisional. So principal, empower your associate, and associate, ask for what you want. Like become articulate with your need to feel empowered, and don't talk about me with your staff. Don't look like they're investigating how's Uche doing. Like empower me. Say I chose him and he's very good. Treat him well, right? And that's what they need to say. Don't act like this master protege level, which is like totally disempowering. They need to make money off you. So he or she disempowers me from ego. Guess what? I will stay at an associate level productivity. You empower me as a fellow professional that you perfectly handpicked. Now the staff go, oh my God, he must be amazing. And as they see me now as being better, I will produce better. It's a law of expectation, the Pygmalion effect. But he looks at me down here, and the assistant does. Assistant looks down. If everyone looks down at the new grad, oh, he's a new grad. That's not a way to. If they say an associate's an investment, do not do that to your investment. You don't buy a Lamborghini and don't wash it and drive it over the mud. So treat your associate like a new Lamborghini. Like treat it with kit gloves. And so I think as an associate, we need to get better at articulating what our desires are. So I like what you talked about. Get good clinically, and that takes time. But they need to start reading books about patient interaction, body language. Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. They got to get good at communication because they've mastered the clinical. They got a doctor, but they need to master the languaging skills. And I think when you master languaging skills, it's a bigger toolbox to use to get more of what you want.
Oh, I totally agree that, and I regret, I would focus on taking that next CE course on bone grafting or the 1800 generation of bonding. And I wish I would gone, back earlier in my career and taken CE courses on leadership and case presentation and public speaking. And, as a young dentist, I really wish I had done that earlier. What are your thoughts there? As a young dentist, you are a leader, whether you're an associate or not. How do you get good at being a leader? Is it just getting yourself educated?
Self-leadership. I think if they're driving an old beater car, it's not clean. If you have an old car, clean it, keep it meticulous. So if an assistant jumps in it or you're running to a Starbucks run, some of the staff goes with you, the car looks meticulous. So I think self-leadership leads to people seeing you as a leader. So if you're fit, people automatically see you as a leader. As an associate, you could be the fittest person in that office. So if you have 30 people, you be that person that can do 4 chin-ups. You be that person that can run 5K. And you may not be the best clinically, but you can still be the fittest person in that office. And they will, as they start looking up to you for a life skill like health, you will start being elevated. Fitness, you can't hide your fitness level walking into a room. You walk into a room, people know how fit you are by your posture, your facial expression, the lights, the energy in your eyes. So self-leadership leads to people looking at you as a leader. And there's a book called Why Some People Lead and Other People Follow. And through human history, the fittest, tallest person is always thought of as the leader. So if you see a bunch of kids, the tallest kid is a person you and I would go up to and say, could you give me the directions to the museum? Someone who's confident, shoulders back. So there's something about being fit and healthy and energetic that makes people automatically look up to you. And as they look up to you with your better conversations, reading those good books about leadership and Dale Carnegie, and as you're the fittest person, as you walk around, moving slowly, like, they talked about act as if, that respect will come. I don't care how people treat you. You start walking as a person needs to be respected. If that principal still talks about you as my associate, you look and smile and temper your response. Don't be so cringy, shoulders back. Thank you, I appreciate your input. And then walk away. And it's gonna hit that male or female principal that I've got a different human being in front of me. And they'll start treating you better. So even if he's not, or he or she's not treating you like the prize that you really are, I would say you can start act yourself into that role and not accepting someone talking down to you. You hear gossip, walk into the room confidently, grab your coffee and walk away. and they'll know that's a person of substance. And that's like, and a person has inherent value. And that'll play out well in finding a spouse. That'll play it well with your patients, languaging. So that's what I would share.
That's great stuff, man. Now, what about, let's just say I've had, a super stressful day, which it's going to happen. Dentistry is a hard profession, but I'm stressed. I go home. What do you recommend? Get some exercise, eat healthy, make sure you're getting the right amount of sleep. What are you recommending?
Yeah, you got to take care of your health too. That's saying you get up in the morning, the spirit is willing, like you want to be the best associate, but the flesh is weak. So if you're tired, if you have a nutrient deficiency, people don't realize stress is not just about having lackluster crown preps, but lacking magnesium. If 80% of the population lacks magnesium, you need it for nervous system control. You need it for relaxing muscles. 75% of people are lacking in vitamin D. Vitamin D is not just about bone health and tooth health. Vitamin D is implicated in 2,000 roles in the body. Vitamin D is needed for 2,000 roles. And it acts like a hormone. So if someone's lacking magnesium and vitamin D, which is 80% of people, how can you act like a leader? You just don't have the tools to act that way. You look tired. So my energy is built on magnesium daily. I take vitamin D daily. I'm taking docosahexaenoic acid and cod liver oil. I take a tablespoon a day. Gives me 1,000 international units a day. And it's oil. It's not capsule. It's not hard tablets. It's Norwegian. So by me giving myself the raw nutrients, I can build this. And it's by design. It's not by happenstance. It's not genetics. I could look horrible in a year if I wanted to. If I ate and acted like the average North American adult, and I've chosen, no judgment, I could totally look like John Belushi in a year. Stay up late, eat drive-through food, drink every day, not exercise, sit down like this, talk about things I hate, hang out with people who don't up-level me. I could look horrible in 6 to 9 months. So by design, you can hang out with people who challenge you. By design, you can have conversations that tell your principle that I matter, I have an inherent value. By design, you can choose a partner or spouse that brings out the best in you. There's a movie, Vice, which it's about Dick Cheney. And do you remember that? I watched the movie, I think it was about some political thing, but it was really about one woman not letting her husband think he's worth less. Mm-hmm. He was a drunk guy, fell out of a hydro line, ne'er-do-well, alcoholic. And his wife said, I did not marry a person who's not going anywhere. I chose you. She kept telling him every day, I chose you. He became the vice president of the United States. Like, how does a drunk hydro man become the vice president? Except he chose a spouse that said, I did not choose junk. So you have a spouse or a fellow dentist that says, I didn't choose junk. You will start acting like that dentist. You will start going to courts. You will save up to buy that nicer car. You'll start treating yourself better. So that's the big part of it, though. You can be a great dentist, but if you haven't chosen well as a spouse, it's amazing how that can take chip out of that great wall every day. So choosing well as a spouse, I know you're a great family man. Huge part to play in success, who you choose as a spouse, for sure.
Now, personally, I went through a tremendous amount of burnout about halfway through my career, and I too had a background in psychology, and I chose to, go to therapy, a local therapist, and I still have a life coach. So I was able to turn things around, and I love going into work every day. And what are your thoughts to the dentist that's, like me, they're 48, they're really burnt out, they're struggling mentally, they're thinking about calling it quits because they just don't love dentistry anymore?
Hey, that's a great question. And I think you'd be surprised how many people actually think they're the only one thinking that. I think one of the diseases or the flaws of human nature and the way we think is we think we're the only dentist who thinks that way. You'd be surprised how many great bands in history have thought about giving it up and calling it quits. You'd be surprised how many people in history, whether it's Abraham Lincoln or anyone, has questioned, is this for me? So I think anytime we think we're the only one, that's stressful. If you start realizing, I think one way is a few different ways I would attack this. One is I'd start reading biographies of great people. You'd be surprised how many times you read Gandhi, you read Winston Churchill, you read Thomas Jefferson, and you'll start saying, oh my God, you start seeing common traits. When you start seeing common traits in great men and women, because what you do is when you see yourself in Abraham Lincoln or see yourself in Gandhi, you start thinking they had the same doubts. And now you start looking at yourself differently. And that whole shift in how you look at yourself can definitely set you on the right path. So I'd say read some good biographies of powerful people in history. Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Gandhi, Churchill. Churchill had tons of depression. He had manic depression, for crying out loud. Freud suffered from depression. So the minute you start seeing that other great people in history have felt what you had, it doesn't feel so alone. I think depression is always feeling alone. I'm the only one, and I got to prop myself up like the Instagram scrolling. And everyone stages their Instagram photos. They polish and they work on that crown and that temporary for hours. It's not just their average provisional, so it's annoying to scroll. I realize it's all staged. It's all staged. So one way I said to read biographies, 2, get in incredible shape. Why not, as a dentist clinically, keep doing what you're doing, leave that as it goes, and focus on getting in shape. You get in shape, your dentistry will get better. You'll be less fatigued, posture will be better, communication's better. You're not tired. You don't get emotionally triggered by patients talking to you in a negative way. You don't take it personally. You know what? I'm really sorry you feel that way. Here's what I'm going to do. Let's make it better. My goal is to focus on making it better. So I'm like, why are you saying that? You're not going to the college, are you? So 1, read biographies. 2, get in shape. You'd be surprised how being fit and having good posture, having a flat belly, having good knees, a lucid mind, it'll elevate your clinical game. So biographies and getting in shape. And that getting in shape then will feel so good. It'll stay with you forever. Like you get in shape at 48 and you get that flat stomach, 55, 60, 70. You want to picture yourself being that guy playing tennis at 85 at the club and people saying, is that Eric? You realize Eric is 85? You're like, he's 85? He's here every day. Really? And I think because the brain works in images, imagining yourself as that guy is one way to start having your brain act on it. But most of us imagine sadness and blackness and fatigue and the worst case scenario. We watch Stranger Things on Netflix and we look at, Orange is the New Black and sad documentaries. Our brain can't help but act on those sad images. So I don't watch horror movies. I'm not intrigued by them at all. So one way is, so biographies, get in shape and start changing your imagination of how you want to look and feel. And that's pretty powerful, from Michael Phelps to Ben Johnson to anyone who's accomplished great things imagines it. So a dentist needs to work on their imagination, and you can read and there's courses on it, but it's amazing how we all do it naturally. Kids are great imaginers. So we've got to be childlike in our desire to imagine where we want to go and how we want to look and feel.
Oh man, that's great stuff. All right, final question. Dr. Uche Odiatu is, how do we find out more about what you're up to?
I like being everywhere. It's fun how with this virtual world, we can basically transform. I can be in Seattle virtually. I can be in Vancouver virtually. But I'm going to be, I'm speaking. I enjoy sharing in person. So what I'm excited about, I'm actually emceeing an event in Scottsdale, mid-June. It's called the Bulletproof Summit. I'm not sure if you heard about these 2 guys, Craig Spodak and Peter Bender. Incredible. That's going to be a fun. The dentists who go to those things are all happy and optimistic. You won't find many, people walking around saying, oh, inflation and can't find good staff. There's one office that's bringing 28 people. Some dentist is paying for 28 of his staff to go there. Think of the hotel and the airfare, so that's going to be incredible for me. It's called the Bulletproof Summit in mid-June. So I'm excited about that. Otherwise, I'm around. If they put my name into Google, put Uche, U-C-H-E, dentist, fitness, there I am. And I like to be available. I answer direct messages. I like to answer people's questions about probiotics or nutrition. I'm available, I wouldn't say 24 hours a day, but hey, I get up in the middle of the night. I'll post. I keep my phone on dim. The room's pitch black. It's cool. I don't get excited about waking up. They say human beings are naturally biphasic sleep. So most of us don't sleep all the way through the night. So when you wake up in the middle and you have some inspired thought, write it down. Hey, write it down. I have my phone on airplane mode, so I don't have that EMF pulsing through my body, and it comes out of my head. So Bulletproof Summit in June. The online world, I'm available. I love helping. Whatever I've been through, I love to share and let people know that they're not alone. They're not alone in this journey.
Such great advice. Uche Odiatu, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure.